Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reorder my layers to match up with what we have here on our canvas. So for example, we have the names of our movie stars here at the top. I want to make sure that it's the same inside my layer stock here. Now you don't have to do this, but I like to stay organized. So I'm just going to left click on one of the names here and then hold on the shift key on my keyboard, left click on the next name, and we can either click and drag it up, or we can use the arrow keys down here. So we just click on this one here that says raise layer, and we just continue clicking it until it goes up, and now they are above every other layer. And I'm just going to go ahead and group them as well. Now in version 1.5.3, the shortcut for grouping is Ctrl G, or you could just click on this folder icon right here to group them. But I'm just going to click on Ctrl G to group them, and I'm just going to rename that and call it names, like so. So we have those at the top, then we have this rectangle here, and next we have the word good. So I'm just going to click on that and move it up underneath my first rectangle there. Then we have this second rectangle, then we have guys, so I'm just going to move that above this rectangle there. And now we have everything structured the way that we want. And remember to save as well. Okay, so the next step is that we want to isolate these things so that we can work on them separately. So I am going to click on the big text here, which is good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically put it on its own canvas. So with this selected, I'm just going to go to canvas here in my parameters panel, right click, export value, and I'm just going to give this the same name, good, and click on export. So now we have a canvas. So if I click on the canvas browser here, click this to open, we see we have a canvas called good. So if I double click on that, we are able to isolate this text on its own so that we can alter it without engaging with the other layers here. So anything that we do here will reflect over here. Now let me actually take a look at our movie poster here. We can see that the rectangle and this first text here sort of has the same image overlaid onto them. So what we could have done is to group these two together. So yeah, I'm actually going to undo what we have here, and I'm going to group those together. So let me close this, go back here. I'm just going to press Ctrl Z to undo that export. And I am going to actually place the rectangle and our text within the same group. So I'm just going to hold on shift with the rectangle selected, left click on that text there, and I'm just going to group them like so. And I'm going to call this rect1 underscore good. And I'm going to go to the canvas, right click, export value, and then we can call this rect1 underscore good. And click on export, and now we can go back here by double clicking. All right, so that's good. So let's go ahead and set up our images now, right? And I already have a few images here, so I'm just going to left click and drag over one of my images. And most of my images that I'm going to use in this tutorial I got from pexels.com. No, it's not a sponsor, it's just what I decided to use to gather some of my images. So I'm just going to scale this down and move this up, scale it out more to fill up all of my text there. And now what we want to do is we want to go to the blend method over here, change it from composite, and we could spend some time exploring all of these options to see what they do, but we'll stick to at least 3 here. So let me see what multiply does. So let's go ahead and set this up now. Keep in mind that the color of the text also affects our image here. So I'm going to open the text here, and let's change the color to something else, and we can see it affecting our image there. So if we don't want it to affect it, we could just easily change this to white and just click on close. And then what I'm going to do is to create a gradient. I'm just going to click on the rectangle here, right click, new layer, gradient, and I'm going to select a linear gradient, and the gradient is underneath my image here, so I'm just going to move it above that. And then I am going to click on composite color. So let's go ahead and mess around with the color. So I'm going to click on my gradient color swatch there, and for this color let's change it to maybe yellow, and then for this color we can change it to maybe an orangish color. It can be whatever color you want. I'm not going for a good cohesive color scheme here. I'm just going for something that works somewhat. If I move this up, we see more of the orange. If I move this down, we see more of the yellow, because the yellow is what's on top. Okay, and we can always go back to alter this at a later stage. If I switch back to my image here, we can see what is going on here. You might not want to be switching between these two all the time to see the effects that it has on the overall image. So what you can do is you could left click the title here and drag it out like so, and then you could work with it from here. Or if you have two screens set up, you could put this on the second screen. But what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put them side by side. So if I should left click and hold on the name of the window here and drag it over here into this crossway box, and I'm going to move it over to the right one here, the green box. When you see the green outline here, you just release, and then what that will do is it will split your canvas in two so that you're able to see both displays at once. So now any update you make here, you can easily see it over there, and I'll just demonstrate that for you. So if I turn off this, you can see it's affecting that there. I'm going to click on my image here, and I'm just going to alter it a bit. I'm going to move this up so that we are able to see the car there. Move this up like so, and if you can get a better image, by all means do so. But I'm going to work with what I have here, and I think this is a little too bright, so I'm going to turn the opacity down by maybe a 0.5. And because remember, this is not the focus of our poster. The focus will be our movie stars. So I'm gonna alter the gradient here a bit again, move this up, get more of that orange like so. And actually I'm just going to go in and maybe make this a bit darker, a bit more orangish like so. And that is looking okay to me, so I'll leave it like that. And we can always change the colors later, right? We already know this. So let's move on to the rest of the text here. For that, I'm going to double click on the main name for our project here so that we are back in the original canvas. And I am going to group guys with the second rectangle here. I mean, we could technically group all three of these. Yeah, actually I'm going to group all three of these together, and I'm going to call this rect, R-E-C-T, well, call it rect with an S and guys. And I'm going to go to canvas, right click, export value, and I'm going to call it the same name, so rects underscore guys, and click on export. So now we have an additional canvas here. So this is a really cool way to isolate things so that we're able to work on them separately. I know I said that before, but you know, I'm just reiterating what I stated earlier. So let me double click on this, and let me close this. By the way, if you close this without saving it, don't worry, it will be saved when you save the main project. So click X on that, right? And you can also click on save on the main project, and everything gets saved. Okay, so I'm just going to drag this back over here to close that gap right there. So that is pretty cool, and we can actually left click and drag it back, right? And then we could put another window there, just so you know. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our second image. So I'm just going to line this up, and we're basically going to do the same thing like we did before. I'm going to place this onto my image here, or onto my text, so onto like so, and I'm going to change the color of the text to white. And we don't have to change it to white, we could alter the colors here, and then, you know, depending on the type of effect that we want, but I'm going to be using the gradient to alter the colors. So I'm just going to change that to white, click on close, and let me see here. What we could do is we could copy this gradient. So I'm just going to copy this instead of creating a new gradient. And by the way, again, remember to save. So I'm just going to Control C, come here, Control V, and then we could just alter the colors here. So I'm looking at the poster here, and I'm just going to try and get back similar colors. just to make my life easier, so I won't have to spend time trying to figure out something that works. So that's a bit of a purplish pink. Let's see here. I think that works, so let me close that, and I'm going to lower the opacity of my image to maybe 0.5 again. Take a look at that and we see what's going on. So let me just position this here like so. I'm just going to move my gradient bar here down. So what's next? All right, so we have this text here as well, and we could add another image to that, which I'm going to do. So go and live. I'm just going to click on canvas, right click, export, and I'm going to call this go underscore and underscore live. Double click on that one there, right? And then I'm just going to drag and drop my image here. We're going to do this one real quick. I may fast forward this point because we already know how to do this by this point. So that is looking really crazy. We have so many colors going on here, but don't worry, we can always change them in the end. So that's it for this tutorial, and I will continue in the next one.